You open your eyes in the dark. The house is completely quiet, except maybe for the low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. You have not fully woken up yet, but your body is already sending you a signal. Your mouth feels like a piece of rough sandpaper. It feels like every single drop of moisture has been completely siphoned out of your body while you were sleeping. Your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth, heavy and dry. You try to swallow, but there is absolutely nothing there. Your lips are cracked, and your throat has a scratchy, tight feeling. So you reach for that glass of water you keep by the bed. You take a drink, swish it around, feel a few minutes of temporary relief, and tell yourself that this is just what happens now. You tell yourself it is simply another unavoidable tax you have to pay for getting older. If that morning routine sounds familiar to you, I need you to pull up a chair and listen to me very carefully. I need you to understand that what your family might be calling a normal part of aging is neither minor nor normal. It is an alarm bell, and for a very long time it was an alarm bell that I completely ignored. I am Harold Bennett. I am 81 years old. I live out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where the heat is a constant presence and dry air is just a fact of life. I grew up back in Columbus, Ohio, in a working-class family where you simply did not complain about the small things. If something was not broken or stopping you from going to work, you ignored it and moved on. I spent my career working in community health education, trying to help folks understand medical information, and yet I was carrying around that same stubborn blind spot when it came to my own body. I kept a glass of water on my nightstand for 20 years. I drank it every morning, cleared my throat, and went about my day, completely unaware that my body was trying to warn me about a quiet, slow-moving crisis. I only learned the truth because I watched someone else pay the price for ignoring that exact same warning. Her name was Helen. She lived a few houses down from me. Helen was 71 years old, a retired school teacher, and the kind of woman who had spent over 3 decades caring for hundreds of children. She started waking up with a mouth so dry that she could barely speak her first few words of the day. She never said a word about it to her doctor. She figured, just like I did, that her engine was just running a little drier these days. For 18 long months, Helen woke up like that every single morning. And during those 18 months, her body was screaming at her in the only language it had left. The decline was a slow erosion. She started losing weight without trying. She mentioned she had a hard time swallowing dry foods like toast, so she just stopped eating them. Then the chest infection started. She caught a bad cough in the spring, another in the fall, and another the following winter. Every time they gave her a round of antibiotics and sent her home. Nobody asked why a healthy woman was suddenly catching recurring chest infections like clockwork. Then came a Tuesday morning that changed everything. Helen woke up gasping for air, her lips carrying a terrifying blue tint. At the hospital, the doctor gave her daughter a diagnosis that made the entire room go cold. Helen had severe aspiration pneumonia. This condition had been developing quietly for months. Let me translate what that actually means because nobody ever explains this to us. Every single night, while Helen was asleep, microscopic amounts of bacteria from her dry, unprotected mouth were being inhaled down her windpipe and into her lungs. In a healthy mouth, saliva is a highly complex biological shield. It acts like a night watchman for your throat, neutralizing those bacteria. But Helen's mouth was completely dry. Her night watchman had walked off the job. The part of Helen's story that kept me awake at night was what her daughter found in her medical records. Helen had been taking a pill for her blood pressure, an antihistamine for allergies, and a medication for bladder control. Not a single doctor had ever looked at how those specific pills interacted. Those medications belong to a class of drugs known to aggressively suppress saliva production. Her dry mouth was an alarm bell ringing for half a decade, telling everyone her medications were literally drying out her immune system, and nobody listened. After I saw what happened, I talked to my daughter Laura, who is a registered nurse. I learned that when folks our age take multiple medications that cause dryness, the effect does not just add up, it multiplies. Taking 3 of these pills is like plugging 3 high-powered appliances into a single electrical outlet in an old house. The circuit overloads and blows out completely. Your salivary glands essentially shut down. I also learned that a dry mouth is an open door that leads directly to your heart. Our mouths are home to hundreds of species of bacteria. When the moisture disappears, the aggressive bacteria surge and take over. They enter the bloodstream through microscopic tears in your gum tissue and can attach themselves directly to your heart valves. The rust in the pipes does not stay in one place. Once it enters the water supply, it affects the whole house. I started paying very close attention to what my own mouth was telling me. I learned that the texture of the dryness matters. If you wake up and your saliva feels thick, ropey, or heavy like old motor oil instead of clear water, your body is waving a red flag about your immune system. If your dry mouth only happens in the dead of night, it is very often a mechanical issue. It means your airway is collapsing while you sleep, forcing you to breathe heavily through your mouth. And if you are waking up with a dry mouth and also getting out of bed 3 or 4 times a night to use the bathroom, that combination is a blaring siren for your blood sugar. Your body is panicking, trying to flush excess sugar out, and pulling water from every single tissue to get the job done. Once I understood these signals, I knew I could not just keep drinking a glass of water and hoping for the best. I had to fix the foundation. The hardest but most important step was sitting down at my kitchen table and writing out every single pill I took. At my next appointment, I handed that paper to my doctor and used a specific phrase Laura taught me. I looked him in the eye and said I wanted a formal review of my medications, specifically focused on the combined anticholinergic burden I was carrying. When you use the clinical language, the entire posture of the conversation changes. We lowered the dose of one medication and eliminated an old allergy pill. That one conversation changed the environment in my body entirely. I had to unlearn my misunderstanding about hydration, too. Plain water actually dilutes the environment in your mouth if your glands are not working. Your salivary glands need raw materials to build saliva, like sodium and potassium. Trying to fix a dry mouth by chugging filtered water is like trying to build a brick wall without any mortar. I started taking small, deliberate sips of water throughout the day and made sure my diet gave my glands the fuel they needed to work. I also put a set of small risers under the feet at the head of my bed to elevate my sleeping angle, keeping my airway open at night. And after meals, I chew a piece of xylitol gum just to force the glands on the side of my jaw to activate. You have to give the machinery a physical workout to keep it from rusting shut. Clinically severe dry mouth is almost never just aging. It is a mechanical failure caused by a medication, a hidden condition, or a combination of both. When someone tells you it is just aging, they are giving you a dismissal, not a medical diagnosis. You have earned the right to push past that dismissal. Helen survived, but she lost months of her life to a symptom she thought was just a minor annoyance. The foundation of our independence is usually threatened by the small, quiet things we choose to ignore. A dry mouth is your body asking for help before the real damage is done. If you are waking up with a mouth full of sand, do not just reach for the glass of water and go back to sleep. Look at your medications. Have the hard conversation with your doctor. The body does not ask twice in the same way, but it is remarkably forgiving when you finally pay attention to what it needs. The independence you want tomorrow is protected by the small habits you build today. You still have time to make a change that matters. I am Harold Bennett. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon.